Okay, so um, for those maybe who are first time visiting, let me just tell you that our flights in Mexico cover many different areas, different types of ministry flights that we do. But each flight is aimed at sharing Christ in some way with the nationals in Mexico, with the tribal people up in the mountains. Sometimes they're medical trips, like you see here, with they're right there at the airplane getting a patient that we flew. Sometimes they're delivering Bibles from Bible translators out, or delivering the Bible translators out to the mountain tribes. All right. We do dental clinics. You see here on our left, that's actually one of our pilots right there. He's holding some kind of light gun. So whatever type of flight we have, our pilots are involved with hands-on. And sometimes even our kids get to participate. And you see one of our MKs right there, missionary kids right there doing balloon. I don't know whether you call that balloon art or balloon fun, but working with the kids. Sometimes it's manual labor, like digging holes for the, what do you call that? The windsock. All right. The windsock, so that you can see which direction the wind is blowing from. And then one time, this was just such a cool flight. I just had to share this with you. Like we did a flight for Samaritan's Purse, taking all those Christmas boxes that your churches here in the States, you might hear, and they collect the Christmas boxes. We actually got to do the delivering to the village. How cool is that? So cool. So many, many different types of flights, many different jobs that our guys do, wearing lots of different hats. And I'm going to start off now with introducing you to John Van Warmer.
Hey guys, I'm John, and as you can see on the screen there, I've been in Mexico in Chihuahua City now for the last 17 years, flying with UIM. And I was asked to just talk about a flight that we just recently did. And this is kind of a fun flight because it actually involved all of our Cessnas from all of our bases. And as some of you probably have heard and know already, one of our Cessna 206s, November 835 to Quebec, has just returned back to Mexico again after being in the process of being rebuilt over a several-year process. So it's been a long time since it's been down in here in Mexico, and it just recently got back. So now we have 3 bases in Mexico. We have one down in Tepic and 2 in Chihuahua. And now all 3 bases can have their own Cessna 206 again, as long as they're, none of them are in maintenance in Tucson. So we can all have a Cessna 206, and it came back just in time for this particular flight, because this flight actually required all 3 of our airplanes to be flying at the same time. What this flight was is, down here in Chihuahua, there's a national missionary training center. And at this training center, they teach Mexican nationals to be missionaries, church planting missionaries. And it's a 2-year course. And at the end of this 2-year course, they have sort of, I guess you could call it like their final exam, which they go for 6 weeks out into a tribal mountain village. They spend 6 weeks out there learning the tribal language, learning the culture, and applying everything that they learned in class and theory. They're applying it in real life. And they do this right before they graduate and go on to become full-fledged church planting missionaries. And so 3 of these families, they decided to go to this Nahuatl village where the Nahuatl people group live. And they wanted to do their practicum there, but there was some difficulty. If they were to go there by land, it would be about a 2-day trip for them. It'd be about 15 hours on the highway, and then another 8 to 10 hours on the dirt roads and so forth. And we could do it for them in 3 hours from Chihuahua to there. We can get them there in 3 hours, but even with the time difference, it was necessary in this case because at the time that the flight needed to happen, there was still quite a bit of COVID restrictions, to the point where anybody who traveled by mass public transportation, like on a bus, for example, would have to quarantine before entering a tribal location. And they didn't have the time to quarantine. They only had a certain number of weeks to get this done, and they couldn't do a 2-week quarantine after having traveled by a bus. So really, the only way that this trip was going to happen for them is if we could fly them out there. But obviously, three families do not fit in one Cessna 206. And so we actually used all three of our airplanes. Two airplanes left Chihuahua, bringing the two families down. Michael Busnitz and I left with with the families. And then Jason Farmer, he bought all their supplies into Peak that they were going to need for the 6 weeks out there. And in the previous picture, you saw them with all their supplies that Jason flew in. Jason bought the supplies into Peak, loaded them in his 206, and all three 206s, all three Cessnas converged at the airstrip at the same time. And Jason landed first, and he took the photographs of Michael and I landing after when we got there. And this was the first time in I don't know how many years that we had all three of our Cessna 206s located out on a mountain runway all together at the same time. So it was kind of exciting. And and Nathan, who's new with us, had his first chance. He was able to ride out with Jason and was able to see this particular runway for the first time. And so it was a good introduction for him. And it was just a good experience for the missionary candidates, we hope. And so just the other day, Brent Dodd and I went and we picked them back up. Their 6 weeks were over, and we picked them back up. But I just wanted to say that, these flights wouldn't have been possible without the National Flight Fund that UIM set up a number of years ago. These are the kind of families that the National Flight Fund was created for, because especially these families, I mean, they're still missionary students or missionary candidates. They're just finishing their training, and they have much of their fundraising and partnership development to do yet. And so they're far from being fully funded, and it'd be completely impossible for them to have done this without being helped out from UIMA's National Flight Fund. And so if any of you guys have ever contributed to the National Flight Fund, I just want to, tell you guys thank you for that. You really made it possible for these guys to do this flight with us. And so now I think I'll turn it over to Tony. Tony's one of our mechanics up in Tucson, and he not only takes care of all of our airplanes, but he takes care of anything else that might break down in our houses or cars or anywhere else. So we really appreciate Tony. And Tony, take it over.
Thanks. As long as I don't have to take care of electrical or software issues on computers, we're good. So, which leads us into the technology that we use on aircraft. It's pretty old. Most of it's in the 70s. So we're trying to do some upgrades on some of that. Our family has been here in Tucson, and they've all helped wash aircraft and do all kinds of things. But when it comes down to the technical things, they seem to leave me alone in the hangar. The next slide shows a electronics international gauge that helps the pilots keep track of fuel and all the temperatures and those kinds of things that have to do with the engine. This upgrade that we'd like to do to more of our aircraft has been accomplished in A352 Quebec already, and here it is in action in our aircraft. It shows all kinds of information on a new gauge compared to 1970s gauges. The old ones are getting difficult to repair, and the new one here, as shown, is very accurate in all the data that it can give, and is very, very compact, but it gives a lot more data that our pilots can use. The next instrument that we're fundraising for too has to do with the flight side of things. Garmin produces this G5 is what we call. It replaces two of the gyro instruments that use a whole nother vacuum system that we get to take out of the aircraft. Saves a little bit of weight, but again, it gives a lot more accurate information to our pilots in what the aircraft is doing as far as airspeed, altitude, heading. There's quite a few things that these little gauges do. So in replacing these gauges, we actually rework the panels. So the panel up on the upper left there shows kind of a standard configuration for 29 Charlie, one of our 206s that is in Mexico right now. and it's pretty busy on the left side. On the panel down below, the completed panel, it shows the two G5s installed there above the left yoke. We actually remake the panel, move the instruments into a good configuration. And as you can also see, the engine monitoring gauge, the MVP50 on the right-hand side, that whole side looks kind of bare, but that's fine. It's less busy, but there's very good information on that one instrument. So if you're interested in helping us to upgrade from the 70s into into the 2000s here, with some very, very helpful and intricate gauges here that our pilots are learning to use, that gives a lot of great information, improves the safety of our fleet by giving detailed and accurate information. We'd love to do these upgrades to the rest of our fleet. And so the QR code that's coming up here, if you click on that, you can
That's going to come up. Sorry, Tony, that's going to come up at the end. I'll show that at the
Okay.
end.
Sure, there will be a link that shows a little bit more information about the instruments and the fundraising that we're doing for those. So if you know somebody that can help in this way, or at least be praying with us, that as we continue to upgrade the aircraft that God has given us for these ministry flights, it's fun to upgrade some of the old systems in the aircraft and make them a little more modern. So thanks again for those who have helped, because we've already, as you've seen in F52 Quebec there, that panel, that's already been done. Quite a bit of fun work, but there's some expenses tied up in that, obviously, to upgrade. So thanks for your participation in that. We really look forward to being able to upgrade the other aircraft in our fleet. So yeah, I'm going to introduce you to Nathan, one of our newest families coming on board with us in Mexico. So Nathan, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It's great to be here with you. Thank you for joining us. Sorry, there's a delay. I got called. So yeah, my name's Nathan White. I'm brand new here in Mexico, and I'm married to Kayla, and we have 3 kids, Nora, Hudson, and Sarah, who are ages 4, 3, and 1. And I'm a pilot mechanic here in Topeka with Jason and Kim Farmer, and Kevin and Imelda McDaniels down here as part of our team as well. And I was asked just to share a little bit about what it was like being new here, and what the ministry is like for someone just arriving. So to get here, it was a several stage process to move to Mexico. This is my dad. He helped me move down here, so that was a big blessing. He's actually here in the meeting with us, I think. So we have moved since we started some of the training and support raising and language school that we've done the past 2 years. We have moved 7 times since July 2020. And Dad helped me move, I think, all of those times. So that was him. He was helping us with our final move down to Mexico. And so he and I moved down all of our stuff. We had 3 days to find a house, drop off all of our possessions, and then had to head back to the border. And I met my family in Missouri, and we got on an airplane, and we flew down to Mexico. February, that next slide was February 22nd of 22, so 22. It's kind of a fun accident about the date that we moved down there. And the moving process was, it had a lot of emotions with it, because part of it was a lot of excitement, because we've been training and preparing to serve in this way for 10 years. I'd started my training in 2012. So it'd been a long process. And so there's a lot of excitement that we're finally arriving. But there's also a lot of fear, a little bit, just the unknown of moving to a foreign country, to a country that isn't known to be especially secure. So, you know, just that day, packing up the family and these things like, wow, this is really happening, and what are we thinking? Like, this is, we're getting in over our head maybe, but, you know, be able to walk with the Lord through that, to pray through that, and know that He was leading us there and we could rest and be secure in Him was definitely necessary that day. And then having teammates already here that have been here for, you know, 10 years, Jason and Kim have been living here. So having them to be able to help us with the transition process was also huge. So we're thrilled to be here and to finally start serving in the way that we've been preparing for and hoping for so many years. And like John mentioned, almost my very first flight was this historic one where all the three airplanes are together, and we got to see the team from Chihuahua come down. And the part that Jason and I played there in the airplane on your screen is we brought in food for that team. So the team came down from Chihuahua and they'd sent us a shopping list, and we went on several supply buying trips, and we packed that airplane full of food and we flew it into the airstrip there so that they could have their food. And there was like a 3-month-old baby coming in as well, so there's lots of boxes of diapers and wipes. And so yeah, it was just fun to be able to be part of that flight and to fly in all their necessities and land on a grass strip finally in Mexico, the thing we've been shooting for years. So that was a fun flight. And then I think the next slide, these are my kids. I'm in the background pre-flighting. So being here with moving our kids here, we're a little bit worried about how they would adjust and what their life might be like. But our kids are doing great. Every day is an adventure for them. We have all kinds of things to explore, new things to try, and they're just having a blast. Kayla and I are experiencing a little bit more stress from day to day, just because everything is new, and there were big things that we prepared for when we were training. Like, we went to language school to prepare for the language barrier, and they helped prepare us for like culture shock and big like that. But then when we arrived here, it's just little things that keep adding up and that make things stressful. So like just going shopping for groceries, first we have to drive. It's a 20-minute drive to the places that we're familiar with, which is a super stressful experience for me. Driving here is not fun at all for me. And then when we get to the grocery store, now you have to translate everything from Spanish to English. At least in your mind, you have to work through the translation process and everything from metric to standard, and from Celsius to Fahrenheit. And so just even like a simple shopping trip is just exhausting. It was kind of exhausting previously because we had, am I on?
Sorry, guys. Remember, they are all the way down
Jason
in
and
house
because we don't have
dealing
internet
with some
yet either,
internet
so
issues.
I had to come and borrow internet from them. So
That's better.
I don't know where exactly. So anyway, but yeah, we're experiencing the being new on the field here, and and like I was saying, like part of it is like really stressful in little ways that you wouldn't expect, but then the rest of it is just really neat to be here and see how God is working, and see how God has prepared us before this for certain things that we're going to be encountering while we were here. So, and then the slide that is up on your screens right now is a project that Jason invited me to go along with, and we wired in all these solar panels for another ministry. So this is a fishing lodge that is connected with an orphanage here in Topeka, and so the proceeds that they gather from this fishing ministry goes to support the orphanage. And so we were able to, and they're completely off grid. And so we were able to go and help them wire in some solar panels so they could have electricity. And so part of what I didn't know exactly when we moved here was what the full spectrum of our ministry looks like. So the flights, most of our flights are half an hour to an hour long. And then but then wondering like what else do we do when we're not flying, and one of the things is each half-hour flight requires a lot of prep time. So it's kind of like, it's almost like preaching where there's the old joke, oh, preachers have it cushy, they only work half an hour a week, but there's a lot of prep work around that. So around each half-hour flight is a lot of prep work, but then we also have a lot of ministry and support roles that we fulfill outside of flying, like wiring in solar panels or helping buy groceries and things like that. So, and this next picture, this is just a glimpse at our life in the neighborhood. We have this little playground the kids love going to. They're making all kinds of friends. We're hoping that they will start picking up some more Spanish. So right now, Hudson just plays without talking a whole lot, but Nora just yells at everybody in English and thinks they should understand her. And then on the right is a church service that I was able to attend out in the Sierra Mountains. We had a flight in, and then the flight out was too heavy for me to go long on. And so one of Jason's sons and I actually sat in on this church service for the indigenous people here in this village. So we're super excited. This is our team here in Topeka, the farmers, the McDaniels, and us now, brand new. So we're super blessed to have team members here to help us adjust and show us the ropes. And we're thankful for all of you who have taken an interest and been here tonight, and who have prayed for us and supported us along this way, because it's been a long road, but it's been really good. So thank you all.
All right. Thank you, Nathan. And again, guys, just sorry. That's what happens when you're dealing with internet issues. All right. We're just going to take a few minutes because I want to show you something new that we have going on with our website. And so for those of you who maybe have not ever visited our website, this is it here. Hopefully you're seeing what I think you're seeing. But this tab right here, the Be Involved, any tab, I don't know if some of you may not know this, but pretty much on a website, anywhere you see words, you can click. All right. The Be Involved tab is brand new. And so I'm not going to actually click on the pray button, because when you go in there, what that's going to do is give you an option to sign up for our newsletter. But hey, guess what? Everybody on this call who registered will get our next newsletter, and it will be a recording of this. So if you missed something, or you had a hard time catching Nathan's thing, you can pause that recording and watch it again. And then you will get a newsletter the next month. Now, should you decide you don't want that newsletter, all you have to do is unsubscribe. Okay, so we thought that might be easier than trying to have you go and find where this is. I'm going to click on the give. We mentioned, I think I am, there we go. We mentioned the different things. John mentioned the flight fund. That's what you see there to the far right. These are different projects that we have ongoing. They're on the website. You might be more pulled to one or a different one. And so you can go in here, you can read about the different projects. be part of the medical and dental clinics that go on, as well as the new avionics upgrade that Tony was talking about. And so, just so you know, this is just something that, I mean, my husband's a mechanic, but I didn't even realize it. Those tiny little gauge things that they're putting in that cost $14,000. Crazy. So anyway, so that's what the give tab is for. The be an advocate. We would love for you to be an advocate for UIM Aviation. And this is really just, you know what? It's just telling other people about us, just sharing, hey, I know about these guys that are flying in Mexico, and we would just love for you to share as you go down here. Should you decide to do that, you can sign up right down here, get our updates. Actually, you're already going to get those. But if you want to actively do this, you can fill this out down here, and you'll get connected with probably Kim, who Kim Farmer in Mexico is the one we have to thank for this beautiful website that she works on. All right, short-term trips. This is a place where if you as an individual or your church is interested in joining up with us to do something, this is the place to go get information. We have overseas trips, as in down in Mexico, that things that you can get involved in. And we also have projects going on here in Tucson, Arizona at the hangar that you can also get involved in. And you can learn more by just clicking on learn more. Each one of these, I think that might be a picture. A lot of them, it's a video down at the bottom. There's so much that you can go in here and just take the time and click on whatever you want to. And then, of course, I will just tell you, if you are skilled in the areas of these mechanics and pilots and whatever, you just want to be part of our team, go click on this Join Our Team tab and check out the different things. There's lots here that you can do. So let's see, I am going to go back over. Actually, I'm just going to stop that share so that we can all see each other's face, I think. Did I stop share? There we go. All right, so we can all see each other's faces. It is 6:30. We want to open it up and see if anybody has questions. And I'm going to pull up my phone because we did get a few questions sent in. So let me find those. And I will probably start it off. And then if you have a question, if you will, just sort of wave to me and I will come. I think I can unmute you, or Bethany will, if you have a question. But let me start it off with a question that we had here. And so actually it is a question for Nathan White. The question was, what paperwork process did you and your family have to go through to enter Mexico?
Okay. The process that we went through was just a tourist visa. So we had to get our passports ahead of time, but then we just flew into Mexico and acquired our tourist visa at the airport. So, but we're going to be working on getting a temporary residence license or temporary residency visa soon. So I think that was it. There wasn't a lot of it.
Okay. Do you have to have a passport?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Does anybody in here, has anybody been waving that I should be going to you for a question? Bethany, oh, there's somebody. Hang on, Ed. She's going to unmute you, I think.
I actually cannot unmute you. You have to unmute yourself. Sorry.
All right. So Ed, if you could unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, when Jason's up in the air flying, is Kim or somebody else sitting at a radio the entire time of his flight while you're out and until you land?
Yeah, hey Ed, that was a good question. Actually, our aircraft are equipped with a GPS tracker, and so sometimes it's Kim, sometimes it's another one of our pilots. I'll send them a list of where I'm headed, and then I'm required to check in within 30 minutes of landing at an airstrip. Otherwise, they start the search and rescue, and I've been known to miss that call on occasion, and I usually hear about it later. but no, the GPS tracker is great. You know, every 2.5 minutes we get a ping. It tells how fast we are, what altitude we are. So if something were to go wrong, we would know pretty quickly. But yeah, it's great. The new technology. It used to be radio calls. Back in the old days, they used to take off out of Tucson for a 2-week trip, and they'd say see you again in 2 weeks. So yeah, it's amazing the technology that's out there today that really helps keep us safe and keep us going. So and it gives our wives a little bit of peace of mind as well.
Good.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, was there somebody else who had a question? If you do have a question, just unmute yourself and say, hey, and say your name and what your question is. And if nobody jumps, I'll read you another question that was sent in.
All
Oh,
right. I've got another one, I guess, is the Be an Advocate. That's probably
mhm.
addressed to you. We've got a friend who has always been interested in missions. So if I go on that Be an Advocate, I'd like to have him be able to get Jason and Kim's all the videos and stuff that they show. Will that tell me how to do that on the Be an Advocate or no?
No, that won't tell you that, but what it will do is it will put you in contact with Bethany, who is our office manager here, who will put you in contact with Kim and work with you to get you all that information that you need.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sure. Okay, here's a question. It's for the Tucson people. And I know my husband's sitting right here, but is Dave on here? Dave Wolf? Okay, I'm not sure if Dave's on here, so Paul, you're gonna have to answer this one. If I'm passing through Tucson or I live in Tucson, can I stop in and see the hangar and talk to the guys?
Well, absolutely. We get visitors all the time that'll stop in, sometimes unannounced. Otherwise, they'll call ahead. But yeah, you're very welcome to stop by anytime. We'll give you the nickel tour and show you around a little bit and show you what we're doing here. So yeah, we love to have visitors come.
It might be a good idea to call ahead to make sure that they're not completely going crazy or in the middle of an inspection. That might be a good idea, but yeah. All right.
I'll also add something really quick. During the summertime is when a lot of our missionaries and mechanics also go and visit their home churches that support them or individuals. So oftentimes summers are busy with flights and or traveling. So if you're planning on visiting this summertime, definitely give us a little bit of a heads up because we don't want you to get there and the hangar be closed. We want to actually be there and be able to welcome you in.
Perfect. All right. Is there anybody else on here?
I have a quick question. Just do you guys base your planes out of Tucson then, or are they based in Mexico? Like, what's that hangar for in Tucson versus the Mexico?
I'm going to push that one to Paul.
All the heavy maintenance is done at the hangar in Tucson. We don't have closed-in hangars at every base, and there's 2 of the bases in Mexico that do have a closed hangar. Tepic still is using a shade hangar, for lack of a better term. But we rotate the aircraft out for major inspections to Tucson, but otherwise each base has a place for the aircraft, and there's an aircraft and families at each of the bases in Mexico.
Okay. How long is that flight to Tucson to your bases typically?
Well, Jason, what you do? If you're coming from Tepic straight up here, it's about 7 hours ish.
Right, 6.5, 7 hours to get up there from Tepic.
If they're coming all the way from Tepic, otherwise, if they're coming out of Chihuahua, it's about 3 hours.
That's a long flight.
Yeah, we keep the aircraft on a rotation, meaning the aircraft that have the most time on them go the furthest south, and then they work their way north until they're out of time, and then they come to Tucson, and we do an inspection on them, and then we send them back south. So they're constantly, well, they will be now that we have all 3 206s back in the fleet. They'll be more on a rotation that way.
Is that inspection just your annual, or do you guys have to do 100-hour inspections?
We do 100 hours and annuals.
Okay.
Good questions. Anyone else? Okay, I have another one. All right, so this one, I think, John, this is for you. How long have missionaries been working at this location, and are there any believers? I think it's referring to where you flew in the missionary candidates.
Okay, yeah. There's been missionaries in this particular village now for a little over 10 years, I think, 10, maybe around 12 years. There has been, in the picture, there were actually two gals in the photograph that weren't missionary candidates. They were the missionaries that lived there and worked there, the church planners that work with that village full time. And they've been there, I think, for about 12 years, maybe a little bit longer even. And they've had a number of partners with them over the years. I think about 3 or 4 other families have come and gone through that village right then. But that work in that village is an extension of another work that was being done for probably 10 or 15 years before that. So it's, missions work is sort of an evolution where you start one place and then you can spread to another place.
All right, thank you. Okay, those are my questions that I had. It's already 6:40 here, which means almost 10 o'clock for some of you guys. I think we're gonna draw this to a close. There are a lot of people on here who haven't seen each other in a long time, so should you want to stay on and visit for a little bit, you can, and that's fine, but we don't want to hold anybody up who needs to go. But we want to say thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your prayers. As a wife, I'm just telling you, thank you so much for praying for our husbands as they are out there working and the ones who are flying. We really, really do appreciate your prayers. And many of you on here are financial supporters as well. Thank you so much. And I don't know if you've gotten this idea, but we're just regular people, y'all. We're just regular people doing a job over here. So stay in touch with us. And we love to be in contact with you guys and get to know you more. So, all right. So for those of you who got to go, adios. Good night. And for those of you who want to stay, what you want to say. And you can unmute yourself now.
Thank you. That was very interesting.
Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Dan, it's good to see you.
Paul and Laurel, good to see you. God bless you guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Good night.
Yeah. Thank
Good
you, Fred.
night.
Bye-bye.
Tony, good to see you too.
Same here.
Amen. You're looking good, buddy. Amen.
Likewise. God bless Texas.
So I'm glad you
Yeah.
guys are.
I'm not a Longhorn fan. Thank you. Bye-bye. Catch you guys later.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys did this. I'm glad you're promoting for additional prayer partners. My dad passed away a few months ago, and the only prayer bulletin in his Bible I noticed was the UIM prayer bulletin. He had a whole notebook of others, but he kept that one in his Bible, and he was sure interested in the aviation program, the Mexico program, Tucson base, all those things. So yeah, let's recruit another dozen prayer warriors. That's a great idea.
Thank
For
you
sure.
so much for letting us know that. That's encouraging. Yeah.
I have a question for Kim and Jason. I see the videos and like that, but I'm wondering, what are the names, ages of the 4 kids? If you could give those to me, because I see them coming through on the videos a lot, but okay, which one's which? I kind of got the daughter figured out.
Yeah, she's the easy one. She sticks out. Yeah, Caleb's our oldest, and he's going to turn 18 in July, and he's graduating this year. So we're going to be moving him up to the States in about 3 weeks. And then Noah, he's the second one, and he is going to be 14 in June. No, he's going to be 15 in June. And then Micah is 10, and Katie is 7.
And Katie, K-A-T-I, 7. Where will Caleb be going?
He's going to be headed back to our hometown in Parachute, Colorado, and He's already gotten on as a volunteer fire department and also he's going to be attending classes at Colorado Mountain College to get his degree in fire science.
Oh, neat. So thank you, because I sure enjoy watching the kids, especially Katie bouncing around there. She's cute. So
Yeah, thanks so much for watching.
thank you.
Laurel, I'm going to take off, but hopefully I'll see you in May.
All right. Be in touch. You got my number, I think. So
I either I have somebody's number, but
all right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Brad and Elaine, it's good to see you guys.
Yeah. It's like a reunion. Isn't heaven going to be awesome? Yeah. All right.
Hey, how old are your airplanes? And do you ever run into obsolete parts that you can't get or that you have to make?
Yes, we do at times. Our oldest is a 72, and the newest is a 79. So,
Do you have a
yeah.
machine shop there in Tucson?
So far, I mean, if we have to do that, we can. A lot of our own parts we can make. We haven't had too much of that happen, but occasionally it does.
All right, guys. I think we're probably just going to go ahead and call this to a close. You know why? It's because, there's just some people who we just feel like we can never say goodbye. We can't leave a meeting, but and then later on you're like, "Why I stayed on so late?" So we don't want to do that to you. Love seeing your faces and love catching up with some of you guys. Again, thank you so very much. Okay. And all right, be watching for our next call at some point. If you have a specific thing that you would like to hear about, feel free to send us a message and we can throw that into our next call.